Welcome to Live 2, Episode 6, Synth to Christmas. We're here on the campus of Syracuse University where it is currently snowing and chilly, and we're getting close to the holiday season. We're in the holiday season, so happy holidays, everybody. I'm here with the guys from Synth to 2 the last time we got together, and we decided we'd do another one of these. And they asked if we could do Christmas songs, and I was excited about that because Christmas songs are always fun. A couple of questions on the Christmas songs here in a minute that we'll get to. But we just got finished playing a bunch of classics, some arrangements. So one of the things that we did last time was just completely improvise everything. And this time the approach was slightly different in that there's a little bit more arranging happening of the music. And that was going to be one of the questions that I proposed to the fellas here. When you think about arranging, can you explain what arranging is to somebody who might not be familiar with that concept?
Yeah, the way I think of it sometimes is taking a song, like for example, Silent Night, and turning it into like an experience for our listener. So starting off with an intro and kind of building it from there, having it just go somewhere. And the options for arranging are pretty endless, which makes it really fun to just kind of dive in and try some things. So I believe we tried like kind of a slow out of time intro, and then we had like the drums come in and we had a jam, and then we ended it with the melody again. So that was how we arranged that one, and kind of how we arranged the other ones as well. Will?
Thank you, Jake.
Of course.
I'm Will Angus, by the way. This is Jake Rubman and Damian Doyle and Jim Ellentenny, our host. Thank you to Jim again. When we talk about arranging, it's kind of everything to do with the song choices that aren't writing the song. So the melody and the chord changes are already there, and you can change both a little bit to some degree, but it's kind of like the sound choices and the song form that really brings it together and makes it our own, I think, in my opinion. Those mean the same thing. Here you go.
Thank you, Will, and thank you for thanking our host today. I was going to get to that as well, but he beat me to it.
Thank you for
acknowledging that, too. Jake introduced arranging with a beautiful explanation, and the only other thing I would add to that is specifically for this synth jam, our arrangements mainly focus on changing sounds as well as changing structure and repeating the melody and stuff like that. So there's a big focus on how can we progress the song from a rubato section, at a time, and then develop it both with rhythm and also the sound selection. Do you guys have anything else to add before I pass it back off to our lovely host, Jim?
No.
Here you go.
Thank you, fellas, for that fine answer, and thank you again for being here today. We really appreciate it. normally when we do the live too, one of the requirements is that it's original music, and I do that for a couple of reasons. One is because I really love original music. Two, I don't want to pay any fees to anybody that I have to pay any fees to do to be able to host this music. So in order for us to do this live to version of Christmas songs, I asked, and the guys researched songs that exist in the public domain. And so for those of you who are unfamiliar with that concept, public domain basically means that these songs are old enough that the copyright is now here for everybody to work with. The original songwriters are either unknown because the songs are so old, or the copyright has been out of date, right? So in order to use somebody's copyrighted material, you were required to pay them for the use of the copyright. Songs in the public domain are here for everybody to use. So they did some research and came up with some classic holiday songs, Christmas songs that everybody's familiar with, and we ended up just doing Silent Night, as was just mentioned, O Christmas Tree, and Auld Lang Syne, right? Why'd you pick those? Aside from the fact that they're in the public domain.
I'll kick this one off, and I'm going to shout out Jake for the Auld Lang Syne selection. Yeah. He found this awesome Rod Stewart live version with an orchestra that had this cool modulation, and we wanted to develop it into a synth version.
Yeah, I think we had looked up free Christmas songs, and it was a short list, unfortunately. These were the three that were just like, yeah, we have to do those. There were some other ones that were great, like Hark the Herald Angels Sing is up there. Maybe next year you'll get to see that one. These are just the classics, and there's so many more that we could have played, but we chose to keep it simple and play these beautiful songs. Anything for you to add?
No.
So these songs, having been around for hundreds of years, I think Auld Lang Syne is centuries old. If I'm not doing any research here, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty old. Why do you think these songs are the three that we had to play? When you told me that these are the three they're going to play, I said definitely, because I love them too. What about these songs has kept them around for so long, or are the ones that you're like, well, you definitely wanted to play?
Right off the bat, the one thing that's common throughout all three of those songs is the use of a 1-6-2-5 to get around the melody and chords, and that's still the most commonly used progression today. So it's pretty sick that all those songs still have it, and I think that's what keeps it around, because it just resonates with us. And also, we were using the versions in the Jazz Real Book Christmas edition, which kind of biases all the seventh chords and makes it sound hip and stuff like that. So I don't know.
I think another reason we picked these tunes specifically is that because when you're doing them instrumentally, they're very recognizable. They have a melody that you're like, oh, they're playing Silent Night right off the bat without someone singing the lyrics, which is, that's important when you have a big instrumental jam. So
why are 1-6-2-5 changes important to you?
To start off, it follows the circle of fifths. The 6 to the 2 to the 5 are all fifth intervals apart, which is really pleasing to our ears, and they kind of lead each other into the next chord. So that's why we see that a lot. Anything else?
Not for me. Thanks, Jake.
But not for me.
Great tune. I wish we could play that, but it's also copyrighted and not Christmas themed. Yeah. The only other thing I had to say about the 1-6-2-5s is that pretty much since commercially recorded music became a thing, it's been all over the radio, and listeners are just so accustomed to hearing it. And it kind of makes any melody that much more familiar to us and accessible, which is why I think these are so great.
Is there another name for 1-6-2-5 changes?
Yes.
Turned around.
What'd you call it?
Changes?
I was going to say rhythm changes.
That's rhythm changes. When I went to school, they called them rhythm changes. So, cool.
today I brought my Prologue, my Roland RD88 keyboard, and the Roland SP404 drum machine, just for samples. I did a lot of bass on the Prologue, and as well as pads on the Prologue and the Roland. And on what I have on the SP404, I was doing just like fills, some drum kind of accents on the 2 and 4, some kick drums. Yeah, exactly. And a tambourine. I didn't have any sleigh bells, unfortunately, today. Next time.
Well, today I was playing an iwi, which is an electronic wind instrument. I'm a saxophone player, and so it's very, it feels natural to go over to this as a digital instrument. But I focused on a sound that's like pretty high, like in pitch, and it can cut through, so the melody could get heard and over these lush sounds that they provided, and the percussive sounds that Jim provided. So
Yeah, for the first 2 tunes that we did, I used like a very FM-y kind of like full tines sound to contrast Jake's pads that he was laying out. And then in the last tune, it was kind of off to the races, and we all kind of passed the different synth rolls back and forth. Yeah. And I took over the pads, and Jake started doing sound effects and stuff like that, as well as the pads.
Jim, could you tell us a little bit about your setup back there and what you were doing to create those sounds?
Yes, Jake, I can. So I was providing more rhythmic support today, and I was using a Roland 808, TR-808, which is the reissue of the classic 808 drum machine. I had a Moog DFAM, the drummer from Another Mother, and the Moog Subharmonicon, which I only used on the last tune, and a Moog Grandmother. And the way that this worked, speaking of arrangement, so arrangement to me, as the guys kind of said, is a lot about like looking at the musicians that you're playing with and what best suits the situation at the moment with the equipment that we have, certainly for the synthesizer. So as Will was saying, he was playing iwi a lot on all this because he's a sax player, so that's a comfortable move for him to do. Me working with these things, I was taking MIDI information from Jake for most of the time, and the MIDI information was providing the tempo that we were going to synchronize all of our rhythmic elements to. Then I programmed some real basic drum pattern, as Jake had would say, like we want the snare on 2 and 4 and the kick on 1 and 3 and things like that. And so when we would bring the drums in, because the drums are locked in time, and when they're playing rubato, it would contrast with what they're doing. So we had to kind of work in the arrangement spaces for the musicians to hold while we could then fade the drums in. So then the drums would fade in with the time that Jake provided, giving us the kind of just consistent beat. And then as they started improvising, I started improvising with the programming. I was kind of adding some little accents of some of the drum stuff on the 808. And then I had the Moog DFAM synced in time to the 808. And I would start to kind of subdivide the beat with some of the more synthesizer sounds for that. So I did that mostly in the first 2 tunes. But then the third song, we had more of an open improvisational section, since they were following their 1-6-2-5 changes for much of their improvisation over the first 2 songs. The way that I have these synthesizers set up at the moment, they don't really like changing key once they've been programmed to do a certain pattern. So when we got to the third song, we improvised more in a kind of an open fashion, and then I was able to introduce the subharmonicon in, which was tuned to B flat, which is the key of the song, and introduce some of its different textures into what we were doing there. Thanks, Jake.
Jim, thanks again for hosting this. I would love to ask you a question about the processing behind the board today. Could you talk a little about any outboard gear you used, as well as the console?
Thanks, Damien. Yes, I can. I started the Live to 2 series here at Syracuse University because I wanted to provide an opportunity for students to experience some recording techniques that they don't commonly experience during their coursework. We have got great classes here at Syracuse University. You can learn all about the recording process and production and arranging and performing, as these fellows demonstrate so well in all of these situations. But we got this great studio. And our studio has a lot of really fine outboard gear, as well as a really nice console. And the Live 2 idea is that the mix is occurring in real time as the musicians are performing. So in other series where I'm not part of the performers, I'm just sitting in the control room with students who are here, and we're mixing other musicians live. And there's no post-production in that process. It's real-time mix through the board. It's recorded that way, and that's pretty much the way that it gets shared with everybody. And so doing that, we're working with an SSL AWS24 console, which is kind of a really neat hybrid console that it's got all analog pathways, but it also has software control. One of the great things about what this process is that all the mixing is happening in the console. So it's all analog mixing. Each channel, all of these keyboards that we're looking at here, all the synthesizers, most of them are stereo, which means they have 2 channels, a left and a right. So we're using up about 16 channels in there right now for all the instruments that we're working with. Mostly 2 for each keyboard, but the saxophone was just 1 and something else was just 1. So we have all that going on. So using the mic preamps and the equalization that exists on the board, to me, the analog pathway, it does sound a little bit different than what we can do digitally. We've got tons of great outboard gear, but because I'm not in there to be able to control it the whole time, the only piece of outboard gear that I'm using for the mix that you're hearing is a Manley Verimu, which is a really fine stereo compressor. And I've put that across the entire mix that we're hearing to help coalesce the music into a very full but consistent and pleasant balance, so that hopefully nothing's popping out too much in any one place or another. What I'll do next is I will take that audio home with me, and I will do some simple mastering to it, so that it will be suitable for release in all the various formats. My mastering will probably be with Ozone 12. Thank you.
What is your favorite meal during the holidays?
Oh, bro.
Who wants to start? I guess I'll start because I posed the question. I love a good lamb roast.
My favorite meal during the holiday season is called a Dutch baby. It's this egg and apple dessert pastry thing, or I don't know, cooked in the oven. It's awesome. My dad makes it for New Year's.
We make the Dutch baby for Christmas morning breakfast. It's fantastic. Yeah. I like to eat too much, so I have several favorite meals during the holidays. Traditionally, my family and I will do a surf and turf with like a nice roast and some lobster tails. I'm not much of a seafood person, so I eat the roast. But what I really like to do is have pizza shipped in from Chicago, Illinois, and eat it. Well, this year we're getting thin crust, but it's often deep dish, and it's just a nice kind of like, because the holidays get really, really busy, and at a certain point you don't feel like cooking, and so there are certain pizza restaurants that make pizza that you can't get here in Syracuse, although they make fine pizza in Syracuse. It's different. And so it's a nice treat to have it kind of come in when you're having a long day of doing everything. You can just throw it in the oven and heat it up, and it's pretty tasty. So looking forward to all that stuff.
I also eat a lot over the holidays. We usually go over to my grandparents' house and have a big meal. Brisket, incredible. And latkes also. I usually find a way to eat some latkes every year. We are Jewish, so it's not very hard. But yeah, you can't go wrong with some sour cream on top of potatoes.
Any other holiday traditions aside from the food and the family? Anything else that you definitely do consistently? Like I'm big into holiday movies. There's a couple that I watch every year for sure. I was telling these guys earlier that at this point in my life, like I'm trying to find new Christmas or new holiday music that I haven't heard before because I've heard so much of it, and there are some classics I love, but others that I hopefully will be surprised by. I feel like it's kind of a tricky thing because I feel like people make holiday music just to try to make holiday music, and sometimes it comes out great and sometimes it doesn't. Ours came out fantastic today. But last year I discovered and wasn't aware of previously an album of holiday music from Oscar Peterson, which I'm really looking forward to hearing again when the time is right. I don't want to spoil it by hearing it early. So any other like traditions that you guys have that you'll do over the holidays?
Listen to Vince Guaraldi a lot and attempt to play it on piano, but mainly just listen.
Going along with what Jim said, our family is super into checking out music and movies around the holiday season. There's a couple of great Blue Note records. They're both called Holiday Soul. Those are great, piano stuff, as well as all the pop, more contemporary stuff. It's all great. Yeah, there's a couple movies we always watch, although it's harder now that we're in school. So, but the season stays strong. You better believe it.
One of my favorite traditions that's just super classic, just getting together with the family. Since we go to university here at Syracuse, you don't get to see them very often. It's definitely not as much as I would like, so it's great to see, extended family that's not just in my household, and, hometown friends, big party every Christmas Eve. So just with, what is it, like White Elephant where you exchange gifts? Yeah, good time.
Thanks again for checking out Synth to 2, Synth to Christmas, episode 6 of Live to 2. Merry Synthmas. Yeah, thank you guys once again. It's been a pleasure. It is the holiday season, time to be with family and relax and get done with school and all those great things. So, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all the holidays, whatever you're celebrating. Enjoy. I hope you have a wonderful New Year. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you for watching Synth to 2.